Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. So let's talk about NXT Great American Bash 2021. An action-packed show. Pretty good from top to bottom. Still some things for me to nitpick, and you know I'm going to find them. But overall, it was a pretty good show. A great palate cleanser after Raw. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's go through the matches and segments and stuff. MSK versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, NXT Tag Team Championships. So, unsurprising, MSK got a very negative reaction. People are not really liking MSK. It is what it is. It's been going on for a while. MSK wins, but Thatcher and Ciampa were pretty physical. I love those two guys together. I think they're doing great work. I think the title should have changed hands here. I definitely think the title should have changed hands here. I think part of the reason why fans aren't really feeling MSK is because it all came too fast. They won the Dusty Classic almost immediately right out of the gate, and then they won the tag team titles right out of the gate. So they had no type of emotional attachment to MSK. All of a sudden they're successful. It's the Rocky Maivia treatment. It is, you're shoving these guys down my throat. I think having them get massacred here to Ciampa and Thatcher would have put them behind the 8 ball, and then would have said, okay, now they gotta have to actually work for it. They're gonna have to actually build characters and personalities. MSK has 0 personality. They have cringe segments where they try to be cool and stuff like that, but they don't have something. There's missing, charisma. They're missing character. They're missing direction. They're like a young Hardy Boys, but they need that. They need that Michael Hayes to kind of bring something to ground them, They need a manager or a valet or something, somebody who can talk on their behalf. I mean, they're undersized baby faces, so you can't get anybody too big. They need their version of Lita or something. I think I said this before. Hopefully I'm not repeating myself. But they need their version of like Lita with them. Or something. To make the act more palatable, to give the act personality, to give the act character, and I'm not seeing that right now. I just see guys who do a lot of flips and do a lot of moves, and that's not going to work. This was a very good match because Ciampa and Thatcher know what they're doing and working with these guys, but yeah, that whole thing where it's just going to be guys doing moves, that ain't going to work, dog. That's going to get you booed out of the building in WWE. All right, so William Regal and Samoa Joe came out to announce Johnny Gargano versus Karrion Kross next week on NXT TV for the NXT Championship. And they got to cut promos on each other. And all really happened was Gargano said that Karrion Kross sucks and that, I'm living rent-free in your head and I can run circles around you, that's the exact same thing Adam Cole said. This whole Karrion Kross sucks and I'm a better wrestler than you and all that kind of shit. Like, they're appealing to dweebs on Twitter. Stop doing that. Stop appealing to these dorks who care about wrist locks. And for starters, Johnny Gargano isn't even a real wrestler. Everything he does look like a spot. So no, it is not. These guys should not be talking about how great a wrestler they are, like they're fucking Kurt Angle or Nick Bockwinkel or something like that. These guys a lot of them are just fast working spot monkeys. That's all really Gargano does. I'm interested in the match. Of course, Samoa Joe is going to end up being the referee or the special enforcer to make sure things don't get too out of hand, which means he's going to be there to keep Austin Theory in check. I did like Cross's promo. He basically says that he's got goals. He wakes up every day looking to dominate. He said he's got 3 goals. Never lose the NXT title, main event WrestleMania, one day be WWE champion. He says, what are your goals, Mr. Gargano? Mr. Gargano. What exactly is your ambitions, Mr. Gargano? And he says something about him wearing his wife's pants. And that, which I thought was funny. Then he said that that Johnny Gargano in the real world, this isn't a video game, it's not a comic book. In the real world, guys like you get beat up by guys like me. That's just the way it is. Nice little pun there. I hate puns, but that one struck a little hard. So because he's a simp and a married virgin, Johnny Gargano says that you couldn't lace my wife's boots. To which Cross was about ready to take his head off and kick it down the street, but Joe got in the way. So I'm guessing here that they've been teasing that it's time for Cross to go up, and that more than likely he's going to lose the title, probably due to Samoa Joe interference, and Joe's going to cost Cross the title, and then Cross and Scarlett are going to go up to the upper room, and he's going to be one of the guys who's going to get pulled from NXT, and okay. I'm all right with Cross losing the title, I guess, if he's going to go up to Raw or SmackDown. I'm not okay with it being Johnny Gargano. Why is it Johnny Gargano? It seems to make no earthly sense to me why we can't put somebody else in that spot. Why does it have to be Johnny Gargano? Why couldn't it be Tommaso Ciampa? Why couldn't it be literally, I'm sure you could think of some people, I know some people are kind of busy right now. And then there's also this idea we don't know who's coming and who's going. And, we have an idea of who's coming and who's going. But it seems unfair to me that we're just going to go back to Gargano. Again, the Gargano, Cole, Balor, triplet, quintet, it just seems to stay in the title picture. That is stagnating NXT. And it's been going on since 2019. They have not gotten these guys the fuck out of the way. It's the same guys. And they only let one or two guys every year trickle upwards. And then those guys get a short run before they get snatched. Keith Lee's run at the top didn't last long before he got snatched. Then now Karrion Kross ain't been there a whole year before he gets pulled. Meanwhile, there's guys who've been there 3 or 4 years. And they're just kind of like, who cares? I get it that Vince wants to pluck the big guy, so they took the title from Bronson Reed because he's probably going to end up going up, and they're going to take the title from Cross so he can go up. Now, when it comes to Cross, again, this is another one of those, is it political and all that kind of stuff, why people don't like Cross. But I keep seeing people say stuff like, if you take away Scarlett and his theme song and his entrance and all this stuff, like, what do you got left? And it's like, I never understood that thought process that, what if we just started taking things away from people? What would happen? Now, when it comes to things like theme songs, okay, if your theme song is over, it doesn't mean you're over. So when people get like, oh, I love singing theme songs, it's like, sure. But then the bell has to ring at some point. You have to cut a promo or something at some point. So I get it that you don't really want, outside things carrying too much weight. But we're acting like this guy who doesn't have, who has, significant experience, all of a sudden he doesn't know how to work. It's like, that's crazy. He doesn't work like these fucking munchkins who just run around in circles and, do spots all day. He doesn't work like them. So I wouldn't say that he doesn't know how to work just because he don't work like them. What they do is not really working anyway. Again, it's just running around in circles and spots. Whatever. But that's an interesting thing, and I'm sure that Karrion Kross will do just fine on the main roster because he can talk. Granted, he doesn't get shitty material. He can talk. He's got some size to him. I can see him standing toe to toe with Drew McIntyre or Lashley or Roman. Probably not those guys because they're all heels. Of course, you have to ask the question. You can't have a guy like him sitting on the bench, and so you have to ask, where does he fit? Because in NXT he's a shark. Everybody's a midget in NXT, so he's a shark. Once you move him up to the main roster, he's not the only big guy on the roster, right? Roman's a big guy. Roman is like 6'4". Big E, he's a little short, but he's also a big guy. He's kind of thick. McIntyre's a big guy. Lashley's a big guy. Sheamus is a big guy. Damian Priest is a big guy. And that's not even, I was about to say Braun Strowman, but he doesn't work there anymore. But, there's other people on there that's like freakishly large. But so where does he fit? He obviously. I think they should wait until they need a main event heel to call him up, because right now they have zero baby faces. They really need baby faces. So I don't know why they would be calling up Karrion Kross right now, because they need a main event heel, and they don't need Karrion Kross on Raw or SmackDown right now. So I don't see why they would call him up. But I shouldn't trust the process, but I think I will. Let's finally move on to the next piece. LA Knight defeats Cameron Grimes. This was great. I enjoyed the match. The match itself was pretty good. LA Knight is over with me. He's been over with me for a long time, back when he was Eli Drake. Cameron Grimes got over with me. I was never a fan of really Cameron Grimes or his previous incarnation. What was it, Trevor Lee or whatever? I was never a fan of all that shit. He just seemed really stale to me. Just very plain bumpkin wrestler. But now, Cameron Grimes as a personality and as a character is excellent. Now, how LA Knight won this match, I think, was very inventive. It was an interesting way of using the belt. If you didn't see it, he went outside in the ring, he being LA Knight, grabbed the belt. Referee took the belt from him. Cameron Grimes tried to roll him up. 2 count. They somehow ended up outside, where after the ref had taken the title and placed it outside, and he placed it face down on the ground. LA Knight then DDT'd Cameron Grimes on the belt. The ref didn't see it. It was outside the ring. While they were down, LA Knight smuggled the belt under the ring, rolled him back, and was going to win by count out. I think on the count of 8 or 9, Cameron Grimes managed to stumble back into the ring, where he ends up getting hit with the finish. I think it's called the BST or the NFT or something like that, and actually getting pinned. So now we got Cameron Grimes that's going to be the butler of LA Knight. Now this ought to bring some pretty good vignettes. Now they did do something similar to this on NXT UK recently with Nina Samuels and Xia Brookside. So this probably tells me this is probably Shawn Michaels idea, but I like it. I love it. I said that Cameron Grimes had to get brought low. I don't think that this is the proper way to do it. I think it's a little bit of putting it in the microwave. But, I do like the idea of Grimes being humiliated in this way. So then when he fights back and they have the third match, because there has to be a third match at some point, he can finally feel like he's overcome something. And people are already behind him. They already hate LA Knight. This will work. This is over with me. I'm interested in seeing these vignettes and what kind of crazy things LA Knight's going to have him doing. So it's going to be an absolute blast, dog. It's going to be a blast. So, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, they laid out the threats to Shotzi Blackheart for interfering in their match and being the reason that they're not going to be the tag team champions. So they're pretty mad about that. Match 3, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark win the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships from Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. In the middle of the match, NXT got a huge surprise. The battery was fully charged, and NXT got a little bit more boring as Tegan Knox comes out wearing a huge Eazy-E in 1987 flannel shirt. And I just looked at that shit and I was just kind of like, why is she dressed like Snoop Dogg? Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. Like, why is she dressed like this in 2021? And she just standing on the ramp, mouthing words at Candice LeRae. And Candice is, of course, standing there selling it, and because Candice is distracted, Indy tries to do a thing. Indy's the legal person anyway, so it wasn't a distraction finish. Indy kicks somebody, knocks Candice out of the ring. Zoe Stark hits her finish on Indy Hartwell and pins her. And then as soon as the 3 count hits, Tegan Knox comes running to the ring and starts, giving the knuckle sandwiches to Candice LeRae. And I was kind of like, no. 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 Just no. No. This is the wrong time to do that. You know? I don't like when the lights cut off for no reason. I don't like unnecessary interferences. I don't like unnecessary distractions. I don't think this did justice to Tegan Nox. If you think she's like some type of big time babyface, and some people do, this ain't the way you reintroduce her. I think you have Candice and Indy lose, and then after they lose, they jump Io Shirai and Zoe Stark from behind because they're heels. Why not? They beat them down after the match, and then you have Tegan Nox run to the ring and make the save, and she fights off Indy Hartwell, and then you give Candice the opportunity to sell, like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on here? And then she beats up, Candice LeRae. By doing it in the middle of the match, not only did you give a distraction finish, which of course is almost always the shits, but you also stepped on the title change. So there was like, it was a big 3 count. The crowd kind of reacted, but then they immediately got their attention snatched to Tegan Nox, who was doing something else. So it was kind of like, what am I supposed to be reacting to? The team that just won the tag team titles, or Tegan Nox getting her revenge on Candice LeRae? What am I supposed to be reacting to? Instead of segmenting those pieces so that people can not only let it sink in, but then give the appropriate reaction to every individual piece. You get what I'm saying? Like, let people react to the tag team champions, the title change, and then let people react to the heels jumping them. And then, of course, people are going to say, well, what's going to happen? What's happening here? Somebody's got to do something. And then you get Tegan Nox re-debuting. You let her soak up that reaction. She runs to the ring, gets a bigger reaction as she saves Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. But having all this stuff smooshed together like this, they definitely could have done it better. And I don't like Tegan Nox, by the way. Not a fan. She is white bread. So I don't know how many times she got a re-debut from her knee injuries. As a matter of fact, start the clock. So I'm pretty sure within the next 2 or 3 weeks she's going to be injured again anyway. So, whatever. Let's see. We got... oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Zoe Stark. She won a title. Zoe Stark won a championship in NXT. Hard work and dedication mean it goes a long way. This is a makeshift team, so I don't expect them to be champions for very long. But I like the idea of Zoe Stark, who is a workhorse, being given an opportunity to do workhorse shit. Like, it would be easy for me to say they're relying on Io Shirai too much, and that she just had a really long run with the women's title. Why does she now need the tag team championship? That's an easy argument for me to make. Instead of making that argument, I would rather say that Zoe Stark, I seen her in championship wrestling from Hollywood. She was busting her ass then. She came onto NXT and she, literally Christianed everybody. She Christian caged everybody. She outworked everybody. She doesn't have a personality to speak of currently, but she's gone out there and been a workhorse, and they trust her, and she deserves it. She's been pretty good. Now, I would prefer if she had a charisma and personality and all that kind of stuff, but right now I'm willing to accept the work rate concept for her. I'm willing to accept that. Okay, Zoe Stark won a title. I'm good with that. Io Shirai, but the question is just going to be, how long are they going to hold it? Because they don't have many tag teams in the women's division, and they need to perhaps build some. They need to have some more tag teams in the women's division. Maybe Frankie Monet and Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah. Maybe that's the, what I could see happening next. Maybe after the rematch. Now, of course, you still had Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, which question mark, because Raquel is a singles wrestler. You also have Ember and Shotzi. So you have 2 or 3 teams, but they still should be building up teams. And I like that, this continues the old story of Candice LeRae just can't get over on Io Shirai for no reason. But I'm not interested in Tegan Nox versus Candice LeRae. Those are my two least favorite women's wrestlers in NXT. They're my two least favorites. Is goddamn Tegan Nox and Candice LeRae, and now they're going to be together. It's like the mega powers colliding to bore the fuck out of me on Tuesdays. Speaking of not being bored the fuck out of, Toni Storm showed up, and we need more Toni Storm. You know, she's talking about Saray, and she said she said Saray was a big star in Japan, but only after she left. And how dare Raquel Gonzalez refuse to defend the title against her, and that Saray is not on her level, and she will not be accepting the challenge. So I like this. Now, obviously, they're going to end up doing a thing where Toni Storm is going to wrestle Saray and lose, and that'll again. She's 9 toes out of NXT as it is. Zoe Stark winning the title and Toni Storm didn't is weird to me, but NXT's got strange booking, dog. They just have strange booking. Bianca Belair never won anything in NXT, so there you go. That's just how they do it. They went to commercial. They came back, and Dexter Lumis had saved Indy Hartwell and was carrying her away. And it was love at first kidnapping, I guess. Is that what you call it? And I guess this is the second or third kidnapping. So hopefully they're happy now. But at least they're keeping that story up. I just want to know where it's going. Maybe we're looking at the end of the way. You know, are they going their own way now? Because Candice is now feuding with Tegan, and now Indy is basically a babyface at this point because of all this stuff she's been doing with Dexter Lumis, and Johnny Gargano basically is a babyface too, and so is Austin Theory. So I have no idea what they're doing. They need to make up their mind about this. Then we got the Hit Row Cypher celebration, in which NXT Great American Bash became the goddamn BET Awards, and all these people started rapping. Now, Ashanti Theodonis was the DJ. B-Fab rapped. The only thing I heard that I paid attention to that she said was, "You looking at the money. Pay attention to where the money goes." And I was like, okay. And then Top Dollar rapped, and I was like, he raps like a real rapper. He has his mannerism down, got his voice down. Then Swerve rapped, and I said, not only does he look like Crazy Bone, but he tries to rap like Crazy Bone too. And I was like, all right. So now there was little to no fan reaction for this, and it went too long. Now the little to no fan reaction, I don't know if that means Hit Row is not over. I don't believe that. What I believe is that people are asking a question: are we supposed to be cheering these heels? You know, these are heels. Are we supposed to be cheering their performance, or what? What are we supposed to be doing? Are they bad? Are they good? When you do musical performances, you also, unless it's done bad on purpose, you also open the door for it to actually be good and for people to give positive reactions. And you don't really want that with your heel stable. Why would you want positive reaction? You should want heel reactions. Personally, I think this was a bad move. What I would have done, and I think what a smarter move would have been, is for some babyface to break this up. Now, I know he's been, I don't know if Leon Ruff is still around or not. I don't know where he went. But somebody's to come out there and tear everything up. Maybe after they all rapped initially on the stage, then somebody just comes out, tips their turntables over and snatches the microphone, starts swinging it at them and all that kind of stuff just to run them off, and you just kind of be like, okay, they ruined their celebration. But not only did they get a full celebration to which they got to rap and they got all this time to themselves, but the crowd was kind of like, what are we supposed to think? This is, some people like rap, some people don't. Some people are more interested in rap than others. Me, I'm a former rap connoisseur. I couldn't really pay attention to the lyrics. I expected somebody to interfere. I really did. So I didn't really sit down and go through the lyrics of what they were saying. So I just thought it was too long, and that the crowd, was not as involved as they should have been. So it's unfortunate. Let's see. So the main event, Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. And you know what? I'm a big booster of Adam Cole. I've always been a supporter of Adam Cole, even back in the days of him working in Ring of Honor. But I'm kind of over Adam Cole too. The crowd was pretty harsh to Kyle O'Reilly. It was a very pro Adam Cole crowd. So they were kind of really for him. But the reason I'm kind of over Adam Cole is I would prefer, like, I don't understand how power drivers are banned, and yet you can do flipping power drivers. Like this guy did is it called a tequila sunrise? Panama sunrise on the floor. Like he power drived him on the floor. And I'm thinking to myself, why on earth would you kick out of that? Why would you kick out of that? If he's winning anyway, why doesn't he just win with that? Or like that leads to the big win. It just seems it didn't make sense to me. Kyle O'Reilly did his thing, but crowd wasn't on his side. He didn't have the crowd's favor. His striking game is also very good. His grappling is pretty good. Kyle, but obviously Kyle is deficient in charisma, which Adam Cole has in spades, baby. And that's probably why so many people liked him over Kyle O'Reilly, of course. But this begs the question, now that Adam Cole has beaten Kyle O'Reilly and beat him clean with a running knee. I mean, come on, man. It's not even logical. You power drive the guy on the floor, but you pin him with a running knee. Come on, bro. I mean, I took off my knee pad, though. It's like your knee's bony as fuck. You got chicken knees. There's no way that running knee should have done more damage than a power driver on the floor. Now, I get it. They're trying to do King's Road style, King's Road is about accumulation of damage. At least that's how it was explained. Like, I watched enough of that All Japan shit, and that's pretty much what it boils down to, is that you take, ever increasing amounts of damage. And instead of, you get hit with one move and you get pinned, you show your fighting spirit by kicking out of several moves, and it builds and builds over time. And ever since that sort of style became famous, you started seeing it all over the indies and shit. That and strong style, which is the very stiff chops, the very stiff slaps, that kind of stuff, which I don't mind that too much. But that King's Road shit, where we just gonna drop people on their head 100 times per match and then beat them with a lariat, that's bullshit, dog. It's like, I don't want to see anybody except Kenta Kobashi and Misaharu Misawa doing stuff like that. We don't need that shit in the United States, dog. It's okay for things to be localized and only be cool in Japan. I don't want to see guys get power driven. He kicks out of a power driver, but then the next time you run your bony ass knee against his temple, all of a sudden he can't kick up anymore. That's stupid as fuck. Beat him with the power driver, right? Just do the power driver. I don't like the Panama Sunrise anyway. I just think it's a goofy looking move. Like he jumps from the second rope. You have to stay in position in order for him to do it, which makes it even dumber, right? Because it's a 2-part move. You have to jump from the top rope, literally adding nothing to the move except you putting your thighs around his ears, and then you flip over. Like, if you're gonna do a Canadian Destroyer, you could do it in better ways than that. I don't like the Panama Sunrise. It sucks. I don't like the last shot. It sucks. I know he needs a finish he can do on everybody. I have no idea what he could possibly do. He's got to do something else. I hate those moves. They suck. But Adam Cole in general is very good. Kyle O'Reilly is also very good. I don't know why his finisher is a flying knee drop. I have no idea why that is. But the crowd was ate for it. It was a great main event. It was the only match on the show that didn't have any stakes. So you have to beg the question, why would you close the show with a match with no stakes? Like, part of the show was every match was either a title match or a gimmick match or something like that. Every other match. There were no throwaway matches on this show, but the big main event was a match that had no stakes to it. So you kind of have to scratch your chin like, that's a weird decision to make. We're going to put something on the line in every match, except that main event. That main event, we're just going to lean into star power. Of course, only one of these two guys are stars because we're not really sure whether Kyle O'Reilly is a star or not. Now, he main evented Big Show, sure. But, he was never the champion or anything. He's proven as a commodity, I guess. I guess we'll see when the numbers come out whether he's, a proven top guy and can draw and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just still think the match needed something. It needed some extra spice. Now, with Kyle O'Reilly losing this time, Adam Cole winning, preferably pretty clean here. Preferably. Relatively clean, I should say. It leads that it's probably going to be a third match. I'm guessing we're talking TakeOver or a big episode of NXT down the line where they probably will put something on the line. Well, there needs to be something. There needs to be stakes at some point in this match. And I have nothing negative to say about it except for I don't like the finish. I think that old running knee stuff is trash, and I hate the Panama Sunday Sunrise, whatever the fuck they're calling it. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is the breakout tournament, the 8-man breakout tournament, because I looked up the competitors because I didn't know any of their names. Let's see, Duke Hudson, have no idea who that guy is. Andre Chase, no idea who that guy is. Odyssey Jones, he's the big black dude. He's kind of like Mark Henry. Don't know who that guy is. Trey Baxter, that's Blake Christian. I know who he is. Josh Briggs, that's the former Evolve champion. I know who he is. He's been under contract for a long time. I wonder what the hell they took so long with him. Joe Gacy, another guy from Evolve. Wonder where the hell he's been. Ike Manjiro, the Japanese jacket guy. That ought to be interesting. And Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes, of course, is Christian Casanova. I'm guessing he's going to win the tournament. I'm guessing Carmelo Hayes is going to be the guy who wins the tournament. But just because he's the guy who wins the tournament doesn't mean he's going to be literally the breakout star as we've seen before. A lot of guys who was in the breakout tournaments in NXT, they went on to do pretty good even though they didn't win. Winning tournaments is not always necessary. Sometimes you could do very well in the tournament and come out pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing, the breakout tournament. It ought to be fun. And it begins next week. They didn't set up any matches or anything. They just said the tournament begins next week. I'm like, okay. Hopefully they do the tournament setup much like the Mae Young Classic or like Ring of Honor does their, they do the pre-match promos where it's just a guy sitting and talking about his life and what he brings to the table and that kind of stuff so you can get to know him. Like that would be good instead of just dragging guys out there and you have to try to get them over through matches because that's not going to work at all. All right, so anyway, the Great American Bash is very good. It lived up to the name, Great American. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, donate via Subscribe Star, or if you just want to buy me lunch, hit the Cash app and send some cash. Either way it goes, thank you guys for your time, and I will talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort so questions